Kerbera for spectacular action on the short, tricky sprint circuit. The fastest driver over the half-mile course gets maximum points. Every 100th of a second counts, and the drivers have to attack from the word go. The Shenstone Car Club inviting the RS 2000 Championship for the sprint event at Kerbera. The final preparations are made, the final scrutineering, checking the safety and the eligibility of the cars. Don't forget, these cars all identical, equally matched Ford Escort RS 2000 saloons. Only modifications to the suspension allowed stiffening them up using a Ford Rallye pack and using the BF Goodrich performance tyres. Then it's taking to the track. It's only half a mile. It's run against the clock, and literally every 100th of a second can make the difference between first and last place. The cars lining up, running one at a time on the track. Carl Hopkins has a spectacular way of warming up his tyres, making them very hot and very sticky for the first dash off the start line. Hopkins away keeps the engine right in the middle of that fat torque band, keeping maximum power on, then up to third gear, snaking through the S's, first the right, then the left, then into the cone at the top of the hill. You can see how tight this circuit is. There's no margin for error. It's reaching over 80 miles an hour on what is effectively a single-track road. Out of the top hairpin, then down the final straight. You'll see the timing equipment coming into view now. There is the finish line, there is the time, 38.07 seconds. That is the time to beat, around about a 65 miles an hour average over this tight, twisting course. Now it's the rates of Gray's car. Simon Goodliffe off the line in the silver car. The time to beat from the central Leicester car, the 38.07 time from Carl Hopkins, but it's now Simon Goodliffe going for it against the clock. Very smooth, very tidy indeed. Late on the brakes into the top end of the course. This could be chipping away at Hopkins' time. Literally sudden death for these drivers, just 38 seconds. And bear in mind, those fractions of a second could make all the difference to the championship positions. Hopkins and Goodliffe still dicing for third and fourth in the championship. And it's Goodliffe coming up to break the timing beam. 38.08 seconds, 1/100th of a second slower than Hopkins. Now it's Tony Dron in the Blakes of Liverpool car. Dron has done sprint events in a variety of machinery before, ranging from 600 horsepower Porsches to vintage cars. Now in the RS 2000 car, he still has 3 events left in the championship to gain on the championship leader Ian Gwynn. A good time here from Dron, but don't forget, you cannot afford to make a single mistake. And Dron makes a mistake. He runs wide out of the hairpin. He had to back off there. That will have cost him time. And Tony Dron, really, the experienced man, 38.27 seconds, that fraction of an inch, costing him 0.2 of a second. Well, drivers discussing tactics as the championship leader, Ian Gwynn, sets off the line. The Hartford Motors of Oxford car, each of these cars in the championship with an affiliation to one of the local Ford dealers. And look at the spectacular rallying style from Ian Gwynn. This really might cost him time. Again, the trick in sprinting is to drive as quickly and as tidily as possible. It's a test of discipline. And perhaps young Ian Gwynn getting a bit carried away with the empty track. But he's very quick out of the hairpin. You notice how he's further away from the edge of the track. He could get onto the power earlier. That means he's quicker down the final straight. He breaks the timing beam, 37.78 seconds. So the first man under the 38-second mark, the championship leader. Now it's Richard Burns, Junior Rally Champion, driving for the Thames Dealer Group. And Richard Burns, first time he's driven one of these RS 2000s in anger. Don't forget, basically a production car. And a big slide there for Richard Burns. Takes to the grass, cuts off one part of the S's, 2 wheels over the curbs. Very spectacular. Well, that will not do his time any good. but Richard Burns refuses to give up. Listen to the tyre squeal. And again, understeering wide. He's late on the power. It's a spectacular run. Certainly very quick in the early stages, but throwing it all the way in the later stages. But look at the time, 37.82 seconds. Just 4/100th of a second slower than Ian Gwynn, so he really was flying in those early stages. Now on the start line, another new face. Brian Farminer in the Hendy of Southampton car. Farminer, an expert at racing the XR3Is and the Fiesta XR2Is in the past. He's also been a very quick man in rallycross. He's also driven Sierra Cosworths in Group N saloon car racing. So he is obviously a dab hand at the tarmac game. But missing a gear change there, loses a bit of time, but he's still going very quickly indeed. And again, the line perfect out of the hairpin. The car on maximum revs just at the right point. Look at the speed down the straight. He's visibly quicker than some of the others. He breaks the timing beam, 37.71 seconds. The fastest time of the day for the Ford Escort RS 2000s. But second on the overall reckoning, Ian Gwynn still going to lead the championship. Well, Richard Burns having a photograph taken for the family album, obviously thoroughly enjoying his drive in the RS 2000s. The car's now being loaded up to head across to Long Marston for the next stage of the championship. But let's have a look at those final results. Brian Farminer, the quickest man on the day at Kerbera, ahead of Ian Gwynn. Then Richard Burns, despite that grassy moment, still third fastest, ahead of the flying, tyre-smoking Cole Hopkins.